think back... I don't know if you've looked inside this box, but the ashes in here? Yeah, definitely a dead guy. In fact, I think this dead guy used to be Cain. You know, first son of Adam and Eve, formerly of Cain and Abel, that guy. Now, there are two theories about what happened to Cain. The first claims that he married his sister and built a house where they lived until the day it collapsed, killing him. And honestly, that's so fucking boring I almost believe it. The second theory, however, claims Cain wandered the world for 100 years. See, God had set him on a path of atonement. So, alone, armed with nothing but his murder stick, Cain fought to rid our world of darkness. And by all accounts, he was pretty good at it. Not that I'm surprised. I mean, this is the guy who invented murder, fratricide, and hate crime all in one go. Obviously, he had talent. But talent won't get you very far against the darkness. Cain had heard of a woman called the Sister of Light. We know her as the Angelus. Cain tracked her down, seeking an ally against the darkness. Thing is, the Angelus is one nasty bitch. Real stickler for the rules. 100 years couldn't remove the stench of Abel's blood, so when the Angelus got a whiff of Cain, she burned him on the spot. Seeing as how I'm holding a box of his ashes, I'm inclined to believe the second theory. Jackie, let me introduce you to Enoch, great-great-great-great-grandson of Adam, great-grandfather to Noah, and the only guy who knows how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. I'm sure he'd say hi, but as you can see, he's dead. Enoch's a special guy. If not for him, we'd only know a teeny-tiny little smidgen of what we do about heaven, hell, and all those weebly-wobbly bits in between. How do you learn all this stuff? Well, if you read the Bible, it says that Enoch walked with God. What does that mean? Fuck if I know. I don't know. The Bible doesn't say. It just says, poof, no more Enoch. Next verse. This is why I don't read the Bible. I do, however, read the secret histories. And it's there that we learn Enoch actually ascended to heaven, where he apparently took some night classes, because the next time we see him, he's back on Earth, busy being the world's foremost expert on all things occult and supernatural. Do you know how many other people have been invited to heaven just for a visit? 0! Seriously, they loved him up there. So much, in fact, that upon his death, a heavenly host descended from the clouds simply to inscribe his skull with the language of angels. That's the markings you see. No one has ever been able to decipher them, but when the skull is placed in absolute darkness, the markings emit a faint singing noise, which is kind of a cool thing. I hope you're not in a good mood, because if you are, I promise this is gonna shit all over it. This is the Lantern of St. Anthony, possibly the most misidentified item ever created. I don't mean people look at this lamp and say, that is a very luminescent club sandwich. What I mean is, most people see this lantern as a symbol of hope, but really, it's a symbol of soul-crushing despair. Now, the outer casing is only 80 years old, but the light inside the lantern goes back, about 1,000 years. In her war against the darkness, the Angelus sought an ever-burning light. She gathered the souls of 100 children butchered by the darkness, and bound them within a glass sphere. This combined lightness of being produced a blindingly powerful light, but only when the dead children felt like it. Turns out kids are fickle little bitches. The Angelus abandoned the sphere, totally apathetic towards the children still trapped inside. The sphere remained lost for quite some time until it was discovered by St. Anthony, the patron saint of lost things. Go figure. Anthony fastened it onto a lantern, believing it to be a gift from God. He was convinced the light would guide a traveler home, but usually it just led them over a cliff or into a bog. So yeah, St. Anthony used this lantern to unknowingly kill hundreds of innocent travelers, all because the Angelus thought the imprisoned souls of murdered children would make a cool weapon. Yay! Okay. Jeez. First off, holy shit. Second, do you know what these are? These are Af and Hema. That ring any bells? No? Okay. Well, then let me put it this way. There are 6 angels of death. You are currently holding 2 of them. Yeah. Okay. Their names are Af and Hema. Roughly, they translate to wrath and anger. It was on the 7th level of heaven that God bound Af and Hema with chains of fire and shadow, which was no small feat, mind you. These weren't your run-of-the-mill chubby cherubs. You know, the Af and Hema were roughly the size of a large volcano and packed 10 times the firepower. All right. Then again, God being God, you know, I guess it wasn't really a fair fight. But whatever. I'm getting off topic. Okay. As the story goes, the Angelus asked God for a weapon to aid her war against the darkness. God was in a giving mood that day, so he reforged Af and Hema into the flames of creation, all right? Tempering them down into blades. These blades, these right here. Now, some say the angels are still alive within the blades, and I tend to agree. Try all you like, but you can't separate them. No. Try taking only one of them out of this room. It might slip out of your hand, or you might just drop dead of a stroke. Now, you never know, but they will not be parted. We're talking peanut butter and jelly. Ham and cheese level of commitment here, man. Somewhere, somehow, Af and Hema are still bound by the chains of fire and shadow. Now this is the good stuff. The abysmal maw. Dark magic at its sexiest. Jeez, I'm getting hot just looking at it. The abysmal maw, or the mawsome, as I like to call it, was carved directly from the gates of hell. Grip it in your right hand, then say the magic words, and the maw will unleash a blast of pure hellfire. Do you know what hellfire does? It destroys everything! And everything it destroys goes straight to hell. You could have killed Mother Teresa with this, and she even would have burned for eternity. Thing is, every time you use the maw, it burns away part of your soul as well. Most people only get 3 or 4 blasts before they wake up in hell. Theoretically, a darkness host could probably use it ad nauseum, you know, since your soul is already kinda in hell. Unfortunately, the maw no longer works because someone misplaced the magic words. Records show the Brotherhood were the last users of the maw, sometime around World War II. That means it's their fault that the world is far less awesome than it used to be. It almost makes me want to cry! You know, maybe next time before you tear 5 or 10 of them apart, you could, I don't know, ask if they remember the words? Ah, the crescent of the sun, considered by many to be the greatest mystery and biggest letdown of the past millennium. You know, if you don't count Rocky V. The crescent was wielded by the Angelus approximately 800 years ago for half an hour. She claimed it was forged from a single drop of the sun's flame, that it would bring about the final end of the darkness. What she forgot to mention, however, is how the crescent would do this, which is important because she never got a chance to use it. Carrying it into battle against the darkness, she was immediately disemboweled. A bit anticlimactic for sure, but it only gets worse. A few years later, the crescent was rediscovered by a holy warrior. Once again, the blade was wielded against the darkness. This time, it even managed to get a few good swings. But you know what? The blade passed through the darkness, like a knife through water. Later, after monks recovered the crescent from the warrior's corpse, it was tested against multiple targets. Turns out the blade passes through all matter. People, stone, trees, kittens, just whoosh, goes right through. No harm, no foul. Could be only the Angelus can wield the crescent, but if so, why has she never tried to reclaim it? Personally, I think the Angelus talked a big game, but was just as surprised as everyone else when the crescent turned out to be worthless. Which begs the question, where did the crescent come from? I got no idea, but I hope she kept the receipt. Okay, Jackie, time for a quick history lesson. Buddhism was founded by Siddhartha Gautama. I don't even know if that's the right pronunciation, just go with it. Siddhartha led an extraordinary life, but for our purposes, his death is what's important. History says Siddhartha announced his imminent death at the age of 80. Immediately after making this announcement, he ate his last meal. It was an offering made by a blacksmith. Siddhartha then became ill and died. Obviously there was more to it, but I'm not here to teach Religion 101. Those are the main points. Before dying, Siddhartha made sure his followers knew that the blacksmith had nothing to do with his death, because, from all accounts, Siddhartha was a pretty stand-up guy. Unfortunately, he was way off on this one. The blacksmith totally poisoned him. And that's not all. He also gave Siddhartha water from his pitcher. This pitcher. As you can guess, this is no normal pitcher. This pitcher works like a soul pump. Drinking out of it creates a mystical vacuum inside the jar. Stop drinking, and your soul is whooshed into the clay, where it remains until the magic is broken. The magic on this relic is unbelievably strong. It's held for over 2,000 years, and that's why this relic has earned the name Siddhartha's Tears, because Siddhartha is still trapped inside. Who'd do such a thing to such a nice guy like Siddhartha? I think you already know. The darkness is the enemy of peace and unity. Its wrath is not always violent, but it is cold and unyielding. Just like Siddhartha's tears. Or the Red Sox. Ew. Oh, you feel that? This thing's hitting an 11 out of 10 on my creepy meter. Just being near it, it feels like I got worms under my skin. Worms that are creeped out as I am because I got worms under their skin. Am I painting a clear enough picture? You may look at this and see an iron mask. Just a common torture device used to humiliate someone. It didn't cause any physical pain. It was just a symbol. If a person was dirty, their mask looked like a pig. If they fucked around, it looked like something that fucked around. I don't know, a rabbit. Okay, now if you look closely at this mask, you'll see it kind of looks like a demon. Makes sense since it was worn by a former darkness host. Maybe you heard of him? Vlad the Impaler, better known as Dracula. Not many people can claim they were the source material for a famous monster. In fact, I only know of 2. This guy and Helen Keller. What you don't realize is that this mask isn't creepy because Vlad wore it. It's creepy because he wore it voluntarily. He wanted everyone to know exactly who was coming to impale them on a giant fucking spike. And just to add insult to an insanely painful mortal injury, do you know what he named his mask? The Mark of Cain. As if to say, that's right, bitches, I'm unkillable. This might be the most fashionable fuck you in the history of man.
Excellent.
Oh, you'll appreciate this, being a former altar boy and all, I assume. And this is the head of Pope John the 12th. Well, the shrunken head. At least, I hope it's been shrunk. If not, then I imagine he had trouble wearing his Pope hat. Anyways, turns out Lil John here was the only darkness host to ever become Pope, which would explain why he's considered one of the worst popes of all time, though, ironically, not one of the worst hosts. You'd think the darkness would have used the papacy to run rampant, but honestly, John the 12th spent most of his time disemboweling his deacons and boning up on the ladies. Actually, never mind. Now that I think about it, he did summon a few not-so-minor lust demons into the Vatican, then turned it into a brothel, and by brothel, I mean charnel house, a.k.a. place where dead bodies are dug up and stored after their graves are more or less desecrated. So, yeah, Pope John the 12th was a huge dick, in more ways than one. Small side note, I have it on good authority that 3 of those demons are still around doing their thing, so do yourself a favor and never take a naked tour of the Sistine Chapel. Not that they offer one still. Just don't. Listen, I'm gonna tell you about this particular relic, but you gotta promise me something. No matter what I tell you, you can't let this get weird, okay? Okay? Okay. This is the reliquary of the Blessed Blood. It is said to contain a relic of untold worth, an object of unfathomable holiness, a preserved piece of flesh from the Messiah himself. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the foreskin of Jesus Christ. Except, here's the thing. There is someone's foreskin inside this reliquary. It just didn't belong to the holy member. It actually belonged to a guy named Miles from South Hamiltonshire. Don't ask how I know this. I just do. I'm an occultist, all right? Just forget about the foreskin. The foreskin is a distraction. There was nothing important about the foreskin, and we should both just forget it ever happened. Moving on. The container is what's so important here, okay? See, the darkness isn't the only power the Brotherhood wants to harness. They're just as interested in the Angelus. This reliquary was their first attempt to create a vessel that could hold the Angelus. It was a total failure. All it did was piss off the Angelus, and when she's pissed, she does like to burn things. Still, there's dark magic in here. Magic best hidden from certain people. And turning it into a impossibly ridiculous foreskin holder was a good way to do that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to go scrub my memory with bleach and steel wool.
So I think that's about it.
Whoa, hold up! Whoa.
Alright, so I hope you guys have enjoyed the Let's Play so far. We've collected 24 out of 29, so I assume I missed some already. Maybe not. And, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it so far. We're reaching the end, as you can tell just by how many relics we have. And yeah, please do check out my live channel if you haven't heard me say it enough times already. It's, you can even sign up your own account and actually talk to me as I play games, which is really cool if you ask me. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it so far. Toodles.